Right then, here we are on the Bridge of the Hammerhead. This is the devastating gunship from Aegis Dynamics. She's 115 metres in length, 75 metres in width, 16 metres in height, and she has an operating crew of 9. So, as we begin our tour, the first thing you'll notice is just how good the viewing angles are, not only from left to right, but also down below. This broad visibility gives the flight crew an edge when patrolling areas, escorting other ships, and especially when executing aerial warfare. We have 2 seats. As this is a larger ship, she benefits greatly from having a co-pilot. If we look behind us, you'll notice that the bridge is in fact self-contained, which is a very important safety feature, especially for a military vessel like this, because any critical damage done to the bridge wouldn't cause any sudden decompression throughout the rest of the ship. But not only that, it also safeguards the pilots from any hostile personnel on board, and just makes it more difficult to hijack the ship. Exiting the bridge onto the main deck is done through the use of this personnel lift, but if for any reason the ship loses power, you can still travel back and forth by using the ladder access on the side. Stepping onto the main deck, we have the airlock straight in front of us. Inside is also where we have our first set of EVA suits, and as this airlock is located on the very front of the ship, it does have reinforced doors that cover it from the outside, as you can see here. As we continue on along the front head of the ship, you'll notice the shock absorber pistons along the hull. This is because the ship was designed by Aegis to withstand frontal impact, so technically speaking the Hammerhead has ramming capability. Moving on down is where we access one of the 6 turrets this ship has, specifically the front portside turret. Like the bridge, every turret is sealed off from the rest of the ship, so if one was to be destroyed, there wouldn't be no immediate loss of air pressure. Every turret on this ship has 4 size 4 cannons, and the fact that multiple turrets can lock onto a single target at once just goes to show how lethal this ship can be. The overall turret placements are as follows. We have 2 on the left and right side of the ship, 1 on the top and 1 at the very rear, which is on the underside. The positioning of these turrets gives the Hammerhead the ability to cover all angles and fire in any direction at will. So, not only has this ship's hull been reinforced to ram, not only does it have a 360-degree firing arc, but in addition to that, this ship also has up to 32 size 3 missiles it can unleash on its target. So basically, a fully crewed Hammerhead is not something you want to be engaging with under normal circumstances. Before we head back inside, I just want to bring to your attention this hole in the centre of the ship, as we'll cover that in just a second. Exiting from the turret and continuing down the corridor, we have another personnel lift. This is the main exit and entrance to the ship when it's landed. There is also another one located directly opposite, but in the interest of time I won't be walking down the other side of the ship as it's pretty much symmetrical. Before we move on though, the view from these windows is actually looking out into the hole I just mentioned in the middle of the ship. This was actually another design choice by Aegis, because removing the midsection allowed them to lighten the overall mass of the vessel, and was thus able to improve the Hammerhead's speed and manoeuvrability. As we continue down the corridor, we come to a cross section where we gain access to a few areas, one of which being the mid portside turret and 4 of the escape pods, the other 4 being located on the opposite side. a quick external view for reference. Moving on back, we come to another lift which takes us up to the second deck, but we'll get to that a bit later. This is where we gain access to the topside turret. Straight across from the turret we have the captain's quarters. From here the captain can oversee all ship operations, review mission data and just in general command the ship, all from the comfort of his chair. And of course, being the captain, you have the luxury of having your very own private ensuite accommodation. Continuing on towards the rear of the ship, we have component housing to our left and a dedicated components room to our right. This is where you'll find more of the ship's critical systems such as the power plant and coolers. Further down we have the crew quarters, 8 bunks in total along with shower and toilet facilities. And lastly we come to engineering. Here we have one of the turbine engines which generates the power for 2 of the main thrusters on the port side. In the centre we have the cargo bay area which actually deploys down to the ground. What's cool about this is that if we look up we have a gantry crane that can help us move around and stack cargo. Spinning around we have steps that lead us up to the rear underside turret. Again, with this having 4 size 4s, this isn't really the ship you want to be creeping up on. Anyhow, let's make our way back to engineering and complete our tour of the first deck. Moving on past the cargo area we have another lift which takes us to the upper deck and is also the area where the second set of EVA suits are located. Same as the bridge lift, we also have a ladder to use in case of any power failure. This lift brings us up to the observation area where the engineer can keep an eye on things whilst working at his station. Carrying on around we have more component housing to our left and eventually it brings us to the final room on the ship, the mess hall. the place where the crew will eat, drink and relax during downtime. Up above we have a starlight window, which is very nice. And here is a storage area. It's especially important to keep this stocked up for those long missions out in deep space. The last thing you want is for your crew to starve and for their morale to drop. It's situations like that which tend to lead to mutiny. As we exit the mess hall and continue forward, it brings us to the lift I mentioned earlier, which takes us back down to the cross section. And that completes our tour of the Aegis Hammerhead. Any questions about this ship, by all means drop them down below. Thank you for watching, as always, and until next time, stay true.